Hi friends, it's Joy. Today we will be talking about the Eilean Mor Lighthouse and I will be trimming my hair. Really, I just do my hair as something to do so that I don't feel so awkward telling the story. So this story is about the lighthouse. I am going to really quickly take you on back to where to the 7th century real quick. This was where a Irish monk by the name of Saint Flannan, he was very popular among the local people. He was making bread. It was taking him a very long time because there was a lot of people to feed. It actually took him 36 hours to make all of this bread for all of these people. And it was claimed that while he was making this bread, at one point he ran out of lamp oil. And so he just continued to bake. And as he was continuing to bake, he actually started glowing from within. And he makes a chapel up. It's above Scotland. It's called the Seven Hunters. And it's a very small island off of the Seven Hunters. He builds this chapel. Whenever the church gets finished and then consecrated, almost immediately the church and the island itself is completely abandoned by the Irish monk and his entire congregation. It's claimed that they abandon it because they started becoming tormented by little people with magical powers that were inhabiting the island. So, continuing after this, everybody says if you go onto the island, there's just this undeniable aura that you can't ignore when you're going onto this island. The only people that continue to go onto the island at all are locals and sheep herders because the grass is really, really good. So the sheep herders and the locals, whenever they enter the island, if you're going there to visit the chapel, it's said that you actually just feel this overwhelming sense that you need to go inside to the altar and pray. Because of the feeling and just the general aura of the island, it becomes, I don't know if I want to say habit, tradition, it just becomes a thing. Circle the church on your knees and go inside and pray. They even had their own dialect for the little people with magic powers as to not piss them off. When people are speaking a whole nother language because of something mysterious, like something's going on. I'm just going to go with something's going on. Who knows what it is, but it's something. Now, in 1895 is when the Northern Lighthouse Board commissions a lighthouse to be built onto the island. Construction is finished December 7th of 1988. Following the lighthouse being finished, the superintendent of the lighthouse board, whose name was Robert Muirhead, trains the keepers at the new lighthouse because the part of the system was brand new, so he ends up training everybody for it. In December of 1900, James Ducat, Donald MacArthur, and Thomas Marshall are working their rotation at the lighthouse. On the 15th of December, a steamer by the name of Arctur is passing the lighthouse and notices that it's not lit. So once they get to shore on the 18th, they pass the information to the steamer board. However, I think it's because there's a huge storm going on at this time. Either way, the steamer company had a lot going on, so they didn't get a chance to pass on the message. The Arctur got to shore on the 18th, and the new crew was set to arrive on the 20th, but because of the insane storms, they were actually delayed by 6 days. So on the 26th, It's customary for the old keepers to have a flag going so that the steamer can see, oh, hey, we know you're coming. We either have somebody at the dock already or somebody's on their way to the dock to help. There's no flag. There's nobody at the dock. They don't see any movement at all as they're coming up to the island. So Captain James Harvey decides that he's going to toot his horn several times to no avail. They don't see any movement. He even sends up a flare, again to no avail. He decides that he is going to send James Moore to the island, who is one of the replacement keepers, to go grab the guys and get them down so they can help. As he docks and then he's climbing up the steps, just each step he's just feeling a more and more overwhelming sense of dread. So he gets to the cottage. The front door is locked. He starts trying the other entrances, the side door where the pantry is, different things like that. All of the doors are locked except for the kitchen door. It was closed, but it wasn't locked. So he goes in through there. As soon as he enters, he sees food half eaten on the table, a chair overturned, the hearth had clearly not been lit in days, the clock needed winding. He goes up to the bedrooms and finds that the beds are unmade and that the guys are not in there. He just runs back down to the captain and he tells them that they're missing. He has no idea where they are. Captain James Harvey decides that he needs to go back to the island because that's why they're there. They need the lighthouse lit. That's the whole purpose. He does, however, send him with 3 other people. They do as much of a search as they can after lighting the lighthouse. Don't find anything. So that night, Captain James Harvey sends a telegraph to Robert Muirhead and the Northern Lighthouse Board explaining what happened. So this is on the 26th. On the 27th, when the men wake up, they do a more thorough search of the island. The extended search shows absolutely no trace of the men. On the 29th, Robert Muirhead finally shows up. He had a lot of people to switch around in order to safely be able to leave and spend some time there. I don't know if he spent like a full 2 days or something, but he spends at least 1 full day just searching the island, trying to figure out what's going on. On the East Landing, there was no damage. In fact, it didn't even look like they had to use the more ropes or anything. The West Landing, however, it was an absolute disaster. There was a huge boulder that was up near the lighthouse that had been dislodged and rolled down the footpath and ended up like sitting on the staircase that led down to the West Landing. There was also a life preserver on the way down that path and down those steps. It was actually determined that it had been ripped off because you could see parts of the canvas still left on the ropes. Down towards the crane, the crane itself had absolutely no damage. The moor box above the crane, which was lodged into the rock and then anchored, had been ripped out. The ropes were scattered all around the crane. The railing around it and the railing that would hold the moor ropes, all of that had been completely ripped out. It was completely missing. Some of the steps coming down, that railing had been dislodged. Robert Muirhead discovered the logbook. It was written that on the 13th, a huge storm had started, unlike anything we have ever seen before in our entire lives. MacArthur was the one writing it, and he said that he was pretty much just staring off into space. Ducat was actually crying in the corner. They were all 3 of the men praying to God. 13th, the 14th, and then on the 15th, it was written that the storm has cleared. God save us all. The 13th, the information that they would have to put in there. That was in there. The information on the 14th was still written on the board, having yet to be entered into the logbook. And the 15th, the morning of the 15th was there, but not the evening of the 15th. I know it makes the story really interesting, which is why I said it like this. But the logbook and the food half eaten and the beds unmade was actually legend. Those were gotten off of, there was a book written about it. There was tons of course, newspaper articles, just information coming out. There was a ballad written about the whole thing. And of course, when you start to get a book, a ballad, things get embellished. So that's where the logbook comes in. Once the logbook information came out, a lot of the locals were trying to say, no, that's impossible, that the worst storm they've ever seen occurred on the 13th, because the 13th is actually the clearest that they had ever seen it almost in their entire lives. You could actually see details of the rocks and things like that, which only happens on extremely clear days. The storm did not start until the 15th, so the logbook was proven to be false. There became a lot of speculation on what happened. Some people said that it was the Loch Ness Monster. Other people claimed aliens. Of course, you had people blaming the little people with magical powers on the island. At the end of the day, anticlimactic. What actually happened was Robert Muirhead said a huge wave must have came and taken all three of them away while they were trying to secure the box of mooring ropes, or possibly something around the crane, since all of that railing had been ripped off. The reason why there's so much controversy, but the reason why there's so much surrounding the story is because of the perception of the island before the keepers even went missing. There was already a lot of hubbub about the island. How old am I? Hubbub? A weird tangent to go off on. Okay, circle back around to the story. Not even kind of done with my haircut. Maybe, I don't know, semi-care about the state of my hair, but I like it a lot better. It's not fully dry, so it's still very flat, if you care. If not, thank you for watching anyways. I hope that you enjoyed the story and enjoyed the mystery while it was happening, and I hope that you guys have a great day. Have a great day, great week, and I'll see you here next time, hopefully. Bye!